SmoakPaxton.com.
You know, Paxton almost nailed this list, the idea of it.
Oh, dear God. I mean, we have David Hellman saying he throws up the hook on him.
Yeah.
Another thing for tomorrow. No more Texas talk. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Paxton, Sandra Green, all of you enjoy it. C. Jenkins.
Yeah. Top 5 things Texas is.
Can't deny what they did, though.
Okay. So we'll see. We'll build. We'll see if I say what you think I'm going to say. Number 5, they are explosive. And that is something even the team that beat Georgia, I never really thought they were generally explosive. I mean, they had Sam Ehlinger, and he could just kind of knock people around. But I never thought, like, man, these guys are just chock full of playmakers that are carving you up. Now, Bijan Robinson was explosive. And if they could clone Bijan and just, like, open up the, like, oh, this Bijan is aged out to the NFL, we'll take the other one, they would. But this team, again, it's a very much pick your poison thing where what are you going to try to stop and what do you feel you have the best opportunity to stop? Or what do you think that you can live with knowing that more than likely with this Texas team, if you beat them, it's going to be because you scored 42 and they scored 40. Like, that's probably going to be how you have to beat Texas because they are
I can't
explosive.
imagine them being held. I'm not overdoing it here, but I can't imagine unless weather becomes a factor or somebody gets 40 minutes of time of possession that they aren't going to score just at will.
Yeah, you have to force them to run the football more, and even then, like, that might still be super successful.
Yeah.
I mean, and Sarkisian was just in a groove, man, the other night. Like, everybody was just kind of at their best. But you know what? I mean, they are absolutely explosive. But the thing to me that really stood out was amongst all the big time playmakers and everything was just the killer instinct, especially with Mitchell there late of the couple touchdowns that he had to just, to seal the deal of he had big time catches like that at Georgia. But I mean, he's got as many touchdowns as he had. I think it was last year, and he's one away from the most that he had a year ago. He's going to crush those numbers.
Yeah.
He's just like that. He's like that final dagger, man. Like, he can just put that knife in you, and it's over with. They just got that. They've just got that home run ability from so many places, but they've got a guy like him, and they've got that killer instinct that it's hard to stop, man. They are
who has
so
won a national title.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
part of it. Yeah.
It's like you've been hitting all these blows, and then you got a guy like him that you can go to late and just further sink their claws in. It's it's tough to deal with.
By the way, I got to go to 4 before you do it. Steve Moser, number 4, being talked about too much. They've earned it. They did. Yep.
Finally.
Yeah.
For crying out loud, they finally have. Number 4. They are united. This is something that was definitely not the case over certain years where you could see there were fissures in the team. And look, the 5 and 7 year, we talked about it when it happened a lot was the defensive line coach, the recording we heard of, look, the transfer portal is wide open if you don't want to be here, if you don't want to do this, jump in it. And I think that was something that a particular group of Longhorn players probably really needed to hear because there's been a lot of time where people have come into Texas and they thought like, okay, well, we're great because we're Texas, and they didn't earn it. And it really was insulting, especially to a lot of those guys who did build that program up to 05. But it took them until, probably a couple years ago, that 5 and 7 year to go, look, you guys haven't done anything. You've done nothing. Like the only thing you've done that's the same as the guys in 05 and the years around that is you are here going to school and playing football. Nothing else is the same. You have done nothing. Those guys worked and earned it. And so you can see this is a team with a different chemistry and work ethic now.
Yeah, it's like going back to Ewers in the post game and trying to get him to fall into the Texas's back trap, and he was smart enough to avoid that and just say like, I forget exactly what he said, but he dodged it, and I think that's important that they are aware of the fact that that's been a trap for them, or that mindset of like, well, we're Texas, and this isn't that attitude. This is very much of like they know they're good, they believe they're good. They know they can be even better, and there's a lot more in store, and they know that they've got to work for it. That's the impression that I get, and that it's not going to just be handed to them. Now, can they do that and sustain that mindset for another 10 weeks or 10 games, I should say, and if the wins keep piling up, are they going to be able to stay humble? I think so. They seem to have a good head on their shoulders, but it is very early. But certainly this has a different feel about it.
Number 3.
I think Jalen Ford's tweet shows that they're trying to make sure they don't get ahead of themselves.
Number 3, they are confident. This was a team last year that was really good at times, but you could tell that they were not totally confident because like the way that TCU, now I think TCU was at 21-7 or 24-7 last year, how that game, it was
like it was like 19-4.
Yeah, it was not a blowout win, but the minute that TCU went up by 2 scores, you could see that Texas had no confidence to think that they were going to score
that was
2 times and stop them twice.
Johnston. Yeah.
But they had no confidence in that moment to think, oh, well, we're just going to score. We'll go score twice and stop them twice. They did not have the confidence. What I saw the other night was a team that Alabama made a big play, and Texas was like, okay, good for you.
We'll make 3.
Yeah, we're going to go make that big play on our own. So that is something that comes with maturity and experience that they do have, is that they are now playing confident as opposed to a bad thing happening like, they don't have that, which is scary
blink
for the rest of the team.
Yeah, it was 17-10. Quinn Johnston had the big touchdown, and then Jahdae Barron had the big fumble return that made it a 1-score game with a little under 5 minutes to play. So, 17-10. But, I mean, they're definitely confident. I mean, look, it's a bunch of stars. They got stars all over that roster. And, stars typically know they're good, but are they humble with it? And I think Jalen Ford appears to be. Quinn Ewers appears to be. Others, I'm sure are of the same vein. But, they know they're good. But I think, again, that they know that doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things for as far as what they're trying to accomplish. So they have that swagger about them for sure. I think that was clear as day in Tuscaloosa on Saturday night. But just so long as they keep that in check, that confidence should take them a long way. And you know what? Like just going back to Mitchell at the end. I mean, just having the ability of like knowing that you've got that up your sleeve, or if it's not him, then it's this guy. Or if it's not him, then it's another guy. And just know. I mean, how could you not be confident with the weapons they have on this roster?
Absolutely. Number 2, they are deeper. And last year, I think people thought we'd see some of that depth. Nayor got hurt. Worthy had the drops, and he had a maturity, confidence, he had all these things kind of going on at once. But they are so now, look, if Xavier Worthy, has a hand issue for a couple weeks, now they don't have to go, well, who's going to make big plays for us? They've just got guys. They just have guys. Jordan Whittington is sometimes you can think maybe they're the 5th option, depending on what they're doing, but 4th option in the passing game.
They can have, of the next 5 or 6 weeks, and again, you never know when there's a landmine, but they could have 5 or 6 consecutive weeks where they could have 5 or 6 consecutive or different offensive MVPs outside of Ewers.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the key, but they could have 5 or 6 playmakers be the star. This week it could be
C.J. Baxter.
Yeah, you never know.
Jatavian Sanders.
Yeah.
It could be Jordan Whittington. It could be Mitchell. It goes on and on and on. It was
Did
Ewers.
Nayor even play?
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did.
I was wondering the same
So
thing.
imagine that. A guy
He's
who's
become he's not a factor
I know.
right now.
Well, I mean, it's hard to get time
But
with that.
goes to show that they went and got Mitchell, and they went and made other moves, and in this transfer portal era, they've worked it as well as anybody, I think. And they have a lot of depth, to your point, Paul. I think you look at the D-line and just the way, not even the portal, but the way they've just recruited in general. There's not a ton of attrition that kind of wipes out those high-ranking classes. They've been able to keep them and develop them. And, they're super deep on the D-line, super deep in a lot of other places.
Well, look, the new thing is going to be not just how many stars you can get, because you're going to lose some.
Yeah.
But how do you replace those guys with guys who are already developed, and how you use the portal. You don't just go and buy, you don't just say we need this. You go and find the one that's there, and that they've done that too.
That's why I think this is a very interesting year for them, because we don't know what decisions are going to be like at the end of the year, but they could lose a heck of a lot of talent next year. I mean, they could lose Quinn Ewers, they could lose Jatavian Sanders, they could lose Mitchell, they could lose Donnie Mitchell, they could lose Xavier Worthy. It goes on and on and on. They got a lot of juniors that are.
If they get to where they're going to go, they want to go. They're probably going to.
But
and
they're
Ewers will be
also
a third-year sophomore.
Stacking up a depth chart. Oh, and they're
Yeah. And number 1, Texas is better.
No, I will
better.
throw you off the set.
They're better. They're definitely a lot better. This is something we have not seen in a while. This is not kind of one of those smoke and mirrors where they the Texas is back year, that was because they beat Notre Dame. Well, Joe Tessitore didn't realize at the moment that neither of those teams were really that good, and that was a pillow fight that wasn't really all that impressive. This and Texas is not saying they're back because, again, look, if Alabama continues to have quarterback problems, even though it's still Alabama, this win may not have as much weight as it does of going and beating a Kansas State team that is going to play you physical and tough. Beating Oklahoma in a rivalry game that now will have even more eyes on it because you're actually really good this year and people have expectations for you. So those are the things that will make you back when you go through all of those and win all those things. But right now, they're definitely better.
Yeah, they're moving in that direction. They're not quite there, though, yet. It's too early in the season to say that definitively. But, man, it's just going to be amazing talking about them today when they lose to Kansas in like 3 weeks in Austin. It's going to be incredible.
Well, I know that they're a lightning rod for a lot of reasons, sometimes of how they think of themselves, proud and all that, and sometimes arrogant and cocky. But you know what? On Saturday night in Tuscaloosa, they earned the right today to be a major part of what we do, along with whatever else. We'll get into Texas Tech and their really tough loss at home to Oregon. As Craig mentioned, the Pac-12